those qualities could have been maximized. And I mean, I just think that we should have really learned more about Robin Hood, because I think the guys that I watched it with made very good points, and those points were like, you come away with that thinking that, okay, that was just a very good flick, but it didn't hit you, it didn't really resonate with you, and it didn't really resonate because there wasn't an arc. And I think for me that was the key. There wasn't really a story arc for Robin Hood. There was a story arc of the story in a broad sense, but there wasn't a story arc of Robin Hood really. And I felt like the story arc really should have been because it was all there. But I felt like the story arc would have been, okay, this is Robin Hood, him being in Richard the Lionheart's army, and they're learning about what his father meant and how his father was also a rebel as well. So obviously the rebelliousness was obviously passed on to Robin Hood as well. And then obviously, with the events that happen of the army getting ousted, you then see him having to now take upon what his father did in obviously different circumstances now in his life. So I thought that, that was where the story arc was, of like how he now has to pretty much step up as an individual to try and put away what King John is doing. Because I felt like I didn't really feel the plight of the people of England, It just felt like if it was just put there, I didn't really feel that, okay, man, King John is really messing up these people. I didn't, you saw hints of it with, obviously, Maid Marian in the beginning, talking about the extreme high taxes and how they can't cope with it based on how much they produce. You saw them standoff between Godfrey and some of the guys that he was trying to take down, but it just did not. It didn't really go into the nitty gritty of like how are the families, how are the men, women, and children affected by what King John is doing. How are things before when Richard the Lionheart was in charge, and how are things after when King John is now raising all these taxes. I think that was where the problem was. I didn't really, there was no real emotional core. There was nothing to really pull you in to really say, wow, okay, now I've been through a journey, the beginning, middle, and an end. I think the problem that a lot of people had was that this was too much of a setup, really. Because for me, I felt that the best part of the film, obviously, the battles were good and everything, acting was great, but I felt really the best part of the film was when you actually saw Robin Hood obviously cast out, and you just saw him in the forest, because you're like, wow, man, so yeah, this is, Robin Hood, and this will now be his place and everything. Just how that was directed and how it was just shot, for me, that was the best part of the film. So, I just think that, it is always very dangerous trying to hold back in any part that you make. That is one of the biggest mistakes to make if you're trying to make a franchise, or a series of films, is that one of the worst things that you can do is hold back and, say, okay, no, we're now saving for the next part. Because for me, like, look, man, from looking at that film, I am very much up for watching a sequel. I'm very much up for watching a part. So I'm really active about watching a part, because the stuff that they have there, they have a very good sheriff of Nottingham. The King John, I think, overall, he's still good. They have an excellent Maid Marian. Now, Russell Crowe, box, mate. Russell Crowe is a very, very strange case, because he's messed himself up. Russell Crowe is a quality actor. You can't deny that. If you're denying that, you're just being foolish. He is a quality actor. But Russell Crowe has made the biggest mistake that any actor can make. And I think Gary Oldman was even commented on this, because obviously Gary Oldman, the great Gary Oldman, greatest actor of all time, said that he doesn't like to give too much interviews. He doesn't really like to say too much about his character. He doesn't really like to put himself out there, because he wants the man Gary Oldman to be separated from the Lee Harvey Oswald, from the Dracula, from the from Stansfeld. He wants a separation to be there, and that separation can only happen if your real life is non-existent in the public eye. Everything is kept private. The problem with Russell Crowe is that no matter how good he acts, I'm looking at a guy who is like, oh yeah, this was the guy who smacked a guy with a phone. That's all I'm saying. Oh yeah, this is the guy that swears a lot. Oh yeah, this is the guy that has some issues, some social issues, some basic relation man-to-man issues, and for me that's the problem. Is like, I mean, when I'm just looking at Russell Crowe, like for me his acting was still good, and for me I support him as a Robin Hood wholeheartedly. I don't buy this whole an Englishman should be Robin Hood. No, I don't buy that. The best man for the role, I think Russell Crowe is better than most of his age group. But the problem is that every time, even when I saw Russell Crowe when he was with his vest and he saw like his portfolio when he was lying down and Maid Marian was looking at him, I was like, he looks at, I was just, oh yeah, this is Russell Crowe, this isn't Robin Hood. Oh yeah, this is just Russell Crowe. You're right. It's him. It's that guy, the guy with some social problems, and that's just like, I mean, it's such a shame, because if the guy just kept his mouth shut, kept out of the public eye, stopped smacking guys with phones, I'd be able to really appreciate his acting a lot more, because he's definitely a talent, but people will be people, man. But I think to round off for this review, man, the film's good, man. The film is good. And they're really on. For me, I believe that. I mean, I hope this thing gets a sequel, because I feel that if, like, in part 2, it's going to be very interesting, because what the tools they have in this film, there's some tools to have a really, really, really good Robin Hood. But I think that the big mistake they made in this thing was that, don't hold anything back. For an introduction thing, you still need something that people can go back to. And I think that with this thing that you can't really go back to this, really, and I think this is the point that Elements actually made, was that, is there really anything to go back to? This thing will easily be forgotten. As quality of a film it will be easily forgotten, really. It will only be remembered as, oh yeah, that was a pretty good film, but there was nothing to make you remember it. Prince of Thieves is an abomination. Let me just put that out there. Prince of Thieves was an abomination. Kevin Costner had the audacity to just be Kevin Costner as Robin Hood. Okay, but Prince of Thieves left you with something. I mean, look, I still don't like Prince of Thieves. I've never liked it, and I will never ever like Prince of Thieves. But I can give Prince of Thieves the benefit of the doubt, because this was a good point that Phantom of Hope made when I talked to him about it, was that Prince of Thieves, after watching it, you felt like, okay, wow, I watched something. There was a story arc, there was a beginning, middle, and end in this. There was something happened in this thing. But whereas for this Robin Hood, it just felt too much of an introduction. You don't really come away with a feeling of like, yeah, oh man, I was part of some sort of an event, which I think was a shame, and I think it could have been achieved even with an introduction, without showing Robin Hood being the whole bow and arrow Robin Hood. And I think, yeah, and another point is that, I think there's another point that was also, that Elements was also made as well, which I agree on. I mean, let us see where Little John came from, because for me, that's a great band of guys he has. Let's see where Will Scarlet came from. Let's see where Little John came from. Let's see let's see more of what Robin Hood's relationship with them was before he became Robin Hood and before his whole casting out. I mean, let's just see the genesis, the very roots of their relationships, and I don't think that was fully explored, which is a shame, because, I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, man, there are quality actors in there, it's a quality director, and it's still a quality product. You cannot deny it, it's still a quality product, and for those who haven't seen it, obviously there's spoilers out there, so but still, for those who haven't seen it and who don't really care about spoilers, man, go and watch this film. Go and watch this film. I mean, it is still a quality film, and I think, I don't care what anyone says, it will probably be one of the best films this year, and that's a factamondo. Alright guys, peace to you out.